Hey guys, and happy Thursday! Welcome back. Here we are with episode 24. I hope everybody is having a great week and doing well. I know it's been a little while since you last saw me. I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. That was just like I said, a little experiment. I figured I'd do a video game with Grifflands. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know, and I'll consider doing more video game stuff in the future. Like I said, I was just trying that out. So anyway, today I'm back, and I'm really excited, guys, because I'm going to be talking about a filmmaker whose work I've really enjoyed. This is one of those guys that's been kicking around the industry, since like the mid '90s. A guy named Trent Haga. Trent Haga is a filmmaker. He's an actor, a screenwriter, a producer, and he started off working for Troma Studios. Now, most of you guys know good old Troma Studios. They're out of New York. They've been around since the early '70s, and they've brought us stuff. Excuse me. They brought us stuff like The Toxic Avenger and Terror Firmer and Tromeo and Juliet, and they brought us all these really great cult movies. And they've also had a lot of big names come through there. Like I'm sure a lot of you guys know Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn started off working for Troma. Trey Stone and Matt Parker from South Park, their very first movie they made in college, Cannibal the Musical. Excuse me, guys. I can talk today. Getting over a flu here, unfortunately. And that movie they shopped around everywhere. They did it on their own. No one would pick it up for distribution. But Troma were the guys that came to the rescue and gave the film distribution. And there's countless other stories where they've helped young filmmakers, give them a home to work and help bolster their career. And a lot of them have gone on to great things, and Trent is another one of those examples. So with that all said, I'm going to be talking this week about Trent Haga's sophomore debut. This is his second film, and it is called 68 Kill. This movie came out in 2017, and I'm going to go into that in just a minute. Before I go into the actual movie, I figure I'd talk about the writer it was based on. It was based off a novel also called 68 Kill that came out in 2013. It was published, and that was published by a guy named Brian Smith. And then he followed it up in 2017 with a sequel called 68 Kill 2. He's written several novels. A couple of the big ones: House of Blood, Deathbringer, The Freak Show, Queen of Blood, Soul Taker, The Killing Kind, and Surrounded by Bastards. By some of those titles, you guys might have guessed by now, this guy enjoys playing around in the horror, thriller, even comedy, because 68 Kill has a lot of horrific elements, but I would definitely say there's some heavy comedy, which I'll tell you more about. Great writer, guys. I discovered his writing through this movie we're talking about today, 68 Kill, and I was like, man, it's based off a book. I gotta see what the book is, and the book expands a little bit more than the movie. I'm not gonna lie, different medium. There's a little bit more to it, but they do a pretty good job adapting the novel to the film here. And the guy's twisted, man. Just really good writer, really twisted mind. I love it. But anyway, so yeah, he's written a bunch of different books, and really good writer. That last one I mentioned, Surrounded by Bastards, hilarious, and I might talk about that a little bit later as well. That's a definitely great novel. So yeah, Brian Smith is the original writer, which the movie's based off the novel. Definitely check it out. Like I said, Trent, he started off working for Troma and wrote Citizen Toxie, which is Toxic Avenger 4, and numerous other Troma productions. Then he would go on to write cult classics like the 2008 horror film Dead Girl. If you're a genre person, especially if you guys know the indie stuff, that's another great movie and really dark um, and tonally messed up, guys. He wrote the screenplay for Cheap Thrills, another great indie horror. The video games, The Evil Within and The Evil Within 2, if you guys are gamers. Um, Most recently, he wrote the screenplay for the film Mad Heidi. Now, that's another one, guys. It's just a crazy, batshit, B movie bonanza of just wacky horror, over the top violence, ridiculous humor. It's really well worth seeking out, and I think it kind of slipped past a lot of people, but it's definitely worth checking out. Fun time. Um, he also directed his first film, which is a film called Chop, a few years earlier, in 2011, excuse me. And then more recently, he was part of an anthology horror film called Deathcember. And that came out in 2019. Unfortunately, I have not had an opportunity to check that one out yet, but I definitely have to make sure I find some time for that. So um, that tells you a little bit about our original novelist, and of course, uh, writer director Trent Haga. He wrote the screenplay for this, and he directed it as well. Um, this film was definitely an indie film. It was shot for about $520,000. And guys, I'm telling you, it looks great. And he doesn't have any huge celebrities in this film, but definitely people that you guys may have seen before, and you probably were like, "Hey, I know that person," and I'll go into that in a second. And what he did for $520,000 is pretty impressive. Now, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you can get a camera and shoot on your iPhone nowadays. It's pretty cheap to shoot almost anything. You can, but it's hard to pack a lot of punch, I think, and still deliver a great product." And he did that. Sadly, if excuse me, I can make words today, guys, I promise. If Internet Movie Database is giving me the correct information here, this movie only made $522. So I don't know how that happened. Even with the film being an indie, I don't know how it only made $522, other than maybe it only played at like two theaters. I don't know. I'm assuming, obviously, that's box office receipt. I'm sure it did much better in like video on demand and on Blu-ray and DVD sales and that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it did not do financially well, which really sucks because Trent Haga, like I said, he's just a fantastic guy, writer, filmmaker, actor, and he's highly creative. And definitely hate to see someone like that with that much talent not direct more stuff. So hopefully we'll see more stuff from him. So excuse me for 1 second, guys. My throat's a little dry here, so I'm gonna take a second to just kind of do a little water gulp there. In our main cast, we have Matthew Gray Gobler, who is playing Chip. Chip is our main guy, our lead actor, or one of our lead actors. Most of you guys probably know him from a bunch of different stuff, but the biggest thing is probably Criminal Minds. He was in 324 episodes. So if you saw this guy and you like those type of shows, you probably were like, "Hey, I know that guy." He's been in a bunch of other stuff, stuff like The Life Aquatic, RV, How to Be a Serial Killer, the horror movie Excision. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one. Came out like 5 or 6 years ago. Great flick. Life After Beth, Suburban Gothic, Trash Fire. Um, he's been in a lot of like genre stuff. You can see he's like one of these guys like Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood. A lot of people don't realize produces a lot of horror films, and he just loves them. So he goes out of his way um, to dabble in that particular genre probably a little more than some of the other genres, just because of his love of it. And I feel like with Matthew Gray Gubler here, we have a similar type situation. He has his mainstream stuff that he does, like Criminal Minds and stuff like that to pay the bills. But you can definitely tell he loves the genre stuff. Um, Now playing Chip's girlfriend, we have Anna Lynn McCord, who is playing his girlfriend Liza, and Liza has been in stuff like Transporter 2, Ugly Betty, CSI Miami, Nip and Tuck. Again, Excision. She was the main star in that, and like I said, that's a really fucked up movie, guys. Definitely dark, 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 but great horror. And her big thing was she was in, I guess, Beverly Hills 90210 when they did like a revival of that show. She was in 114 episodes. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, you probably saw her face. A lot of people. That's where I think she kind of made a name for herself. She's been in stuff like Lucifer, um, Tone Deaf, and King Knight. So she's another one that has done a lot of genre stuff, but she's bounced up, all over places. Like she's been around. She's been in a lot of different television and film stuff. Um, Next one we have uh, actress named Alicia Bowe. Alicia Bowe is playing the role of Violet. Now, you guys probably know Alicia if you've seen the show, the Netflix hit 13 Reasons Why. Um, she was in 49 episodes. Personally, I watched the first season of that show and thought it was very, very good. A little too dark for me. And I know, right? Here I am talking about dark, fucked up movies that I like. But that show was, whew, it's a lot, man. That one had like Requiem for a Dream. If you guys have ever seen that film, it's not one of those like movies you go. In my opinion, you don't. I don't. Not a lot of rewatch. You know what I mean? Kind of surprised that that show actually 13 Reasons Why I actually made it past the first season because it ended so dark, but it ended perfectly on the first season. So I don't know what they did with the other uh, episodes. Anyway, she's been in stuff like Paranormal Activity 4, Days of Our Lives, believe it or not. She did 25 episodes of that. Um, Ray Donovan and Teen Wolf. Remember that show MTV put out? Um, Next, we have Sheila Vaughn. Um, and she is playing the role of Monica the Goth Girl. Now, a lot of you guys may know her from the indie horror film A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I still have not seen that film. I know I'm ashamed of myself. It's one of those ones that's been out for I don't know what 6 or 7 years, and I hear nothing but good things, and I still haven't gotten around to it yet. She's also been in Argo, BoJack Horseman, um, Whiskey Tango, Foxtrot. She's been in the science fiction film Prospect, um, the show 24. Remember that one, guys? I guess they did a revival of that one too. Legacy, it's called 24 Legacy. The OA, The Wave, and Snowpiercer, the television show. She was in 28 episodes of that. So she's also been one of those ones that has gone back and forth between television and film, and she definitely has a taste for the genre stuff, and that's good. I like to see some versatility in a resume. I love to see people that love to dig into that genre stuff. And then we have Sam Edison. Now, Sam Edison is playing the role of Dwayne, and Dwayne is Liza's brother. He's been in horror movies such as Slash, The Next Kill, VHS, The Mortuary Collection, stuff like that. A little bit of a smaller actor, but the role he has in this film is great, and it's one hell of a role. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit for you guys. Um, so I guess right now, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the film for you. Excuse me. I know my voice is a little rough today, guys. I have had no luck this year. Literally had an upper respiratory infection in the beginning of November. The end of November, I get hit with bronchitis, and I'm still getting over a flu that I got last Friday. So my voice is still a little bit raspy. You hear a lot of throughout the episode, so I apologize. Um, just a little heads up. So the film opens up, and we see a small little housefly, and he's stuck in a big syrup spill, and we can see that it's a trailer. And next thing we know, we cut to a bed, and on this bed is a man and a woman lying down. The woman is asleep, and the man is just staring contentedly at the woman as she's sleeping. Um, this is our first introduction to Chip. Now to give you some info about Chip, our protagonist here. He's a tall guy. He's in his late 20s. And, the only way to describe Chip as far as personality goes, to give you a little foreshadowing about what we're going to see later on, is Chip is one of these guys who I think we all know, especially us guys, right? We all have that one friend who's just easily manipulated by women, right? He's one of those guys that if he thinks he might get laid, or there might be some action later on, he puts all common sense aside and he just follows that trail to where that might lead to him getting lucky. He's just one of those guys. He's a nice guy, but he's just very easily manipulated. And he's, like I said, he's staring contentedly at this woman. And the woman next to him is Liza. Liza is a tall blonde. She's attractive, bleached blonde hair, and she's probably somewhere in her 20s. She wakes up, and the first words out of her mouth are, "What the fuck are you staring at?" So right off the get-go, guys, we kind of established there's definitely a personality to this one. They get ready for the day, and Liza mentions how she's broke again and how she's going to have to go see Ken again. And Chip gets very upset by this. She can see that he's upset, and she says, "You know that I don't like fucking that guy. I just do it because we're broke and we need the money. And that fat fuck is the last person I want to sleep with, but it is what it is." But, Chip doesn't like the fact that his girlfriend has to sleep with some fat older guy so they can make ends meet, She reassures him, they kiss, and we cut to the next scene. We see an older black guy walk through the trailer. He opens the door. He just lets himself in. He makes a comment to Liza how she's looking good. She calls him an old pervert. And he picks up Chip. And as they're leaving, Chip just closes the door. And Glenn's like, "Well, how come you didn't lock the door?" And he's like, "Well, I don't have the keys. Liza never gave me the keys. She doesn't think I need them." And Glenn questions that. He goes, "You live with her. Why wouldn't you have a set of keys?" He's like, "You know what your problem is, Chip? You're a kept man." And he's like, "I get it. She's a really hot blonde, and you're really into her, but, you got to grow a little bit of backbone, get a little self-respect for yourself." And, he kind of continues to ride Chip, and basically give him shit. He's saying, you just can't let someone, when there's two people in a relationship, you can't have one person controlling the relationship, because if you do, it's not really a relationship, It's not a very good relationship, let's put it that way. Hold on one second. He tells Chip, you need to be careful with her, because he said right about the time Chip started dating her, when, he saw her with another guy, and he thinks that perhaps they might have been, she might have been dating Chip and this other guy at the same time, and he's just looking out for him. He's like, "Hey, listen, dude, I don't want to see you get hurt by some crazy broad." He's like, I said, "I can tell you this much about me and my life." And he's like, "Anytime I've ever been in trouble with the law or anything at all, or pretty much I can always boil down to any troubles starting off with an issue with some sort of woman. That's always led to any kind of trouble." He's like, "So I'm speaking from experience here. You got to be careful when it comes to the ladies, And of course, Chip's like, "Listen, I get it, but I love her, and I'm gonna do what I want, And, he's just typical stubborn guy in his 20s. Anyway, cut to that night at the trailer. Chip gets home and Liza pulls a gun on him, and he's shocked. Chip asks where she got those from, and Liza goes, "Dwayne, you know my brother." And Chip's like, "Yeah, your crazy psycho brother, the one that just got out of jail a couple months ago. I thought he wasn't allowed to have guns." And Liza's like, "I'll answer all your questions, but take off all your clothes first," as she points the guns at him. And then they have sex. So afterwards, Liza explains to Chip that guy Ken that she's fucking on the side for money earlier today was bragging about how he was getting ready to buy a Porsche, and he had 60 grand just tucked away in his basement, and she says that her and Chip are going to go over there and they're going to rob him. And Chip's like, "I don't want to do that." And she's like, "Listen, you shovel shit for a living, literally, and I suck dick for a living. So, maybe we should try to aspire to something bigger and better." And she pretty much says it like that, guys. I know I have a foul mouth sometimes, and I run my mouth, a little bit of a potty mouth, but no, verbatim, that's some of the dialogue from the movie. So this is what you're getting into here. So, of course, because Chip is gullible, he's reluctantly talked into this. And he's like, "Okay, well, why do we need the guns?" And she's like, "Well, for protection." Is protection from what? If all we're doing is going in there and grabbing the money and leaving. She's like, "You always got to make sure." So later that night, they pull up to Ken's house, and he's Mr. Hoity-toity. He's got one of these like rich houses, big southern country mansions. This is a southern tale. Yes, this takes place down south. We don't know where, but definitely a southern tale, guys. I should have said that earlier. They pull up to the house, and they pull on some ski masks, and they open the front door, and they sneak through the house very quietly. And of course, Chip accidentally almost knocks a little vase over, but he doesn't. She kind of gives him a look and kind of gives him shit about it. And as they're walking around the house, they hear noises in the background, and they sneak up on Ken, and Ken is in his little basement den area, and he's watching what appears to be a movie. As they get closer, Liza sees that it's a video of her and Ken having sex. And she looks over at him and basically whispers to Chip, she's like, "Well, if I would have known this, I would have charged him more." And then from there, out of nowhere, she pulls out like this giant Bowie knife and literally just fucking puts it right through his neck. And of course, Chip is like freaking out. He's like, "What the fuck? I thought you said we were just gonna go in there and grab the money and leave." She's like, "Fuck this guy. I can't believe he was fucking doing this. He was a piece of shit and he deserved to die." So, Chip is freaking out. He's not a violent dude. He's a lover, not a fighter. And this attracts Ken's wife. And of course, she starts screaming and freaking out. And the next thing you know, she jumps on Chip and she starts like pounding on him. She starts beating the shit out of him. And, Chip isn't putting much of a fight. And we think that she might actually win. But then out of nowhere, good old Liza comes in with the knife and, cuts her throat too. So as we can tell, oh, my glasses are a little falling off here, guys. This is a violent tale, guys. And of course, Chip reacts to that like, "What the fuck? Like, what are you doing? First you killed him, now you killed her." And she's like, "Oh, well, that bitch deserved it. That's what she gets for marrying that piece of shit." So, yeah, as most good plans, they do not always go accordingly, guys. And in this particular case, we have a perfect example of that. A simple robbery goes from robbery to homicide. Just hang tight for 1 second, guys. Hold on. All right, so that from there they managed to find where Mr. Ken has his money stashed, and they think, okay, we're in the clear. I mean, Chip is still freaking out. He's not thrilled, but Liza's like, you can see she's got like this almost like evil smile, like she just found the hidden candy jar or something. Like she's getting off on this. She has no issues with taking the money and killing some people. So they find the money, and then all of a sudden in the background they hear a noise, and Chip's like, "Hold on, what now? What more can possibly go wrong?" He's like, "I'll go look." So he goes and looks, and what does he see? He sees a young blonde-haired girl in her 20s, attractive. She's huddled over the body of Ken, and of course, she's understandably so freaking out. Uh, Chip goes to her. He's like, "Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you. It's okay." And of course, she doesn't trust him. So he goes to grab her, and she gives him kind of a hard time. And then Liza walks in, and she's like, "Hell no, we're not going to hurt him. Of course we are. We're going to kill her and get rid of her body." So, again, crazy violent woman here. The answer is always get rid of the body. I guess she figures she's already killed two people. What's a third? We'll just throw one more in the mix here. Um, So they grab her, and they go outside, and they tell Violet to get in the trunk of their car. I guess they're not going to kill her right away. At least that's what appears to be the case. Chip is still a mess, and you can see like he did not expect this. He knows that this girl he's with is a little bit nuts, but he's like, yeah, what the fuck? He's still not. He's struggling. You can see it on him. She points the gun at Chip now. The vial's in the trunk. She says, "That's it. You know what time it is." And Chip's like, "What are you talking about? What time is it? We need to get the hell out of here." And she's like, "I want you to get in the truck. Get in the car right now and strip down." And so, of course, her first thing after killing two people, kidnapping one, and stealing 68 grand is to go ahead and have sex in the back of their car. So, meanwhile, this girl, poor Violet girl, is in the trunk of the car. So, bear with me for 1 second, guys. Afterwards, Liza starts driving, and at a certain point, Chip's like, "Hey, I know this neighborhood. Isn't this where your brother Dwayne lives? That fucking batshit crazy lunatic?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, that's where we're going." And he's like, "Why are we going to see Dwayne? What do you want with him?" And she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go sell this girl. Of course. What do you think I was gonna do with her? I mean, we have to kill her either way. She saw us. I'm also go sell him to Dwayne." And he's like, "You're gonna sell this girl to Dwayne?" And he's like, "Yeah, I already sold her this other girl to Dwayne like a while back, and they gave me $3,000, and she was like some sort of like crack whore. This girl's healthy and attractive. He might give me like 5 grand." And like Chip is like just processing this. He's like, "What in the actual fuck?" Like he doesn't say it, but he's got that look on his face, and the more he's looking at this girl, he's like, "Why am I with this crazy fucking bitch?" You know what I mean? It's he's definitely learning some stuff about lies tonight. So um, they arrive at Dwayne's house, another wonderful little trailer, and she's like, "You wait here. I'm gonna go in and talk to Dwayne and let him know what's going on. He doesn't like a lot of people." So she goes into the little trailer there, and Chip's outside, or Chip's in the car, and he can hear Violet in the trunk struggling, kind of making noises. Um, it's not a very safe neighborhood. You can see a lot of sketchy looking people walking around. At a certain point, he's like, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm not going to sit here and wait in the car." At this point, it's probably been 20 minutes. So he kind of like sneaks into the house, and he walks in, and he sees Dwayne and Liza, and they're watching a video. And on the video is basically Dwayne torturing a girl. Now, Dwayne is one of these guys that's probably like 6'8" guys. He's got really dirty glasses, heavy set. He looks like the kind of guy you could look at and go, okay, not a stereotype here, but yeah, I could kind of see like crazy whack job killer. You could see how this runs in the family kind of thing. Uh, Eliza is like, what are you doing here? I told you to wait in the car. He's like, I got tired of waiting in the car. And she's like, well, now that you're here anyway, we're going to hang out for a little while. I want you to go get that girl from the car and bring her in. And he's like, I'm not doing that. And she's like, yeah, you are. And he's like, okay, fine. Now she looks at him and she kind of thinks, I don't know, you know. At this point, she kind of sees that he's kind of grown wary of what's been happening this evening, and maybe he might just fucking bail. So she's like, you know what? I'll go with you. So she walks out with him to the car, and they open up the trunk, and fucking our buddy Chip here at this point gets frustrated, and he just cold cocks her with the back of the gun and knocks her out. She hits the ground. She's not knocked out completely unconscious, but she's taken off guard. He grabs the girl from the trunk, tells her to sit in the front, and he takes off, you know, and he's just like, at this point, he's like, enough is enough. I've had my fill of this crazy shit. And, you know, shit might not be perfect. Obviously, he's a criminal, and he's definitely a bit of a fuck up, but he has a conscience, you know what I mean? So he takes off. Hold on one second. Just hang tight, guys. I just lost my place for a second here. Bear with me. He's down the road. He's thinking he's free and clear. And then all of a sudden, he sees that Liza is behind him in the car. Now, that basically what happens next is a big chase ensues. She drives right up side by side with him, and she pulls a gun on him and says, "Pull over." So of course he's kind of realizing that best solution here is just to pull over and just give up. He gets out of the car. She tells him, "Hey, listen, none of that shit." She's like, "I'm not going to put up with that. You've been bad, and you're going to be punished." And she's like, "But first, come here." And she kisses him, and she hugs him, and she laughs. And she says, "I forgive you, but there's definitely going to be consequences for your actions." She's like, "You know what? Fuck Dwayne. He'll get over it. We'll go get rid of this girl ourselves." And she's like, "Actually, you know what? That's going to be your punishment. I want you to go get rid of the girl." And he said, "Don't worry about Dwayne. He'll get over her. We'll get him a girl, another time." And Chips looks at her and he's like, "I don't want to kill this person. I don't want to kill anyone." But she's like, "You need to do this. This is your punishment. And I need this from you." And then I guess that hit that Liza took earlier when she was cold cocked with a gun really was a little bit harder than we thought, because by luck would have it, she falls unconscious to the ground, and Chip has a little luck on his side. So he gets back in his car yet again, and he peels out. Next scene, he talks to the girl Violet. She's like I said, she's in the car with him. He's trying to explain everything, you know, that yeah, he's dating this girl, but he didn't realize she was a nut job. And basically, you know, like he was there just to simply take the money and leave, and that's it. This wasn't supposed to be a go around kill people, you know, thing. This wasn't supposed to be homicide, you know. Um, just bear with me, guys. Hold on one second. She's like, "Yeah, I get it. you didn't kill those people, but you still were involved with this. And she takes him by surprise and manages to wrangle the gun out of his hands. And she's like, listen, we need to establish some stuff here. I know that you're not going to kill me because you don't have it in me you don't have it in you to be a killer, but you also didn't have any plans on letting me go. So we need to figure things out here. You can see she's more of a reasonable person. She's a nice person. They actually share a little moment there, and they connect as people. And once again, we see Chip falling for another girl. Next step, and a little more foreshadowing, a little more dark stuff to come, guys. Bear with me here. They hear a song on the radio that she really likes, and she's like, I love this song. And they start singing. Like I said, they connect. They get a little further down the road, and a cop pulls them over. And of course, Chip doesn't have any of the paperwork for this car. It's not his car. He's nervous. The cop pulls him over and, kind of gives him the tough guy act like most of these cops do. Where's your paperwork, blah, 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 blah. But luckily, Violet plays along, and she kind of flirts with the cop, and she basically says, I was drunk at the bar, and this man picked me up, and I promised that we'd go home and we'd get down and dirty, and you know what that's like, and can you do us a favor and just let us go? And at first you think like, oh, this cop doesn't want anything to do with any of this bullshit. But he pulls Chip outside, and Chip is nervous, and he's like, you know what, boy, you did good tonight. You go ahead and take care of that girl and take care of her good, So the cops, ends up, what you think ended up being this tough as nails cop ends up being like kind of a nice guy, and, he's kind of like saying, go, Chip, go, He's got this hot broad in the car, and he's about to get lucky. He's like, you're a lucky man. So from there, Violet falls asleep in the car. She's had a very rough night. Chip pulls up to a gas station, and he goes inside, and we see this dark-haired goth girl. We're introduced to her, and her name is Monica. And she could tell by looking at her, she just doesn't give a shit. She has a gas station shirt that says "fuck off" where the name tag is. And Chip goes up to her and says, I'd like to put $40 in the tank. And she's like, which one? And he's like, oh, the one with the car out in front of it. And she's like, okay, smart ass. It's $40. And Chip goes through his wallet and he realizes, shit, I'm a little bit light here. So he grabs the envelope with the 68 grand and he pulls out the extra 20, and he realizes, oh shit, all I have is 100 here. So, she's like, hey mister, where'd you get all that money at? And he's like, I just happen to have it. And he's like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of late at night, and here you are with an envelope full of money. One might think that, you did something bad to get that money, like maybe you were robbed a bank, or he took that money from someone that didn't belong to. She's like, I don't know, it's the kind of thing, we get a lot of cops that come through here, and it might be something I just happen to mention to him. He's like, what are you, and it's very clear she's trying to blackmail, and she's like, I'll tell you what, why don't you give me a couple of those $100 bills and I'll just forget you ever showed up here. And at this point, Violet comes in, and Violet's basically like, listen, you fucking wannabe Hot Topic goth bitch. No, that's my boyfriend, and that's his money. We're not gonna have any shit. You want any shit, I'll get right in your face. So she, she puts on that ferocity to 100%. And she kind of lets this girl know that like she ain't gonna take shit from nobody. And then afterwards, Monica backs down, and they go back outside the car, and she's like, Chip, you let this girlfriend of yours manipulate you into robbing 2 people and killing them, and then kidnap me, and then you let this girl inside there almost, take you for $200. And she's like, listen, you need to learn to stand up for yourself. You seem like a decent enough guy. I know you're not a killer, but come on, man, kind of trying to give him a pep talk. And, she's being supportive, and trying to tell him, like, he doesn't need to let people walk all over him, basically. He's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I need to start sticking up for myself. That's for sure. He's like, you know what? I'm really tired. Why don't we go to that hotel down the street and just call it a night? And she just kind of looks at him and smiles. She doesn't seem like she's opposed to the idea. You kind of get the impression that these two are kind of, like I said, they're connecting, and, they're of similar minds in the sense that they get along personality-wise. So they get to the hotel down the street. Hold on one second. And when they get to the hotel down the street, they get a nice little room. Well, not nice, it's a little rundown hotel, excuse me. And he goes to the bathroom. He's like, I'll be right back. And of course, he comes out, and she's like pretty much completely nude. And they get into bed, and before they start doing anything, he's like, are you sure this is what you want? He's like, no. She's like, I had a rough night. And he's like, you know what? I probably shouldn't be doing this, but you're a nice guy, and I feel like we have some sort of connection of sorts. She's like, there's something I need you to know about me, though. She's like, that guy Ken, she's like, the reason I was there is because Ken made my life a living hell. She's like, you need to hear my story. Basically, I used to work for Ken, and I basically worked an office job, and he wanted me to have a threesome with him and his wife, and I refused. And when I refused, he fired me. And not only did he fire me, but apparently he knew my landlord, and he convinced my landlord to evict me. So within like a week's time period, basically, I was without a job, and I was without any place to live. And then he reapproached me like a week later, and basically said, hey, listen, I can't get your job back, but the offer's still there if you want to, sleep with me and my wife. He's like, I'll give you some money. And basically, she's like, that's what I was doing to just survive. And she's like, I just don't want you to think like I'm this big whore. I was doing it because I was desperate, And she's like, I just hope that's okay with you. And he's like, no, I understand people get put in these situations where they're forced to do things they otherwise wouldn't do, they don't want to do, and it's okay. He's like, I just want you to be okay. I know you've been through a lot. So again, they connect, and they have this tender moment, and they make love. Hold on one second. Bear with me. Now we think everything is starting to go honky-dory here, guys. Now, but we wouldn't want that. So the very next day, Chip wakes up, and you can kind of look out the window and see the sun's out, and he's kind of got a headache. He's going, man, what happened to me last night? And he looks over, and nobody's on the bed. Not only is nobody on the bed, but none of his belongings are there. There are no clothes there. He goes into the bathroom, and lo and behold, unfortunately, we see Violet bleeding out in the bathtub. So Chip here, he's the kind of guy that has a lot of shit luck, guys. It's just one thing after another. He looks in the bathtub, and he's going, what in the actual fuck? He's just in absolute shock. And he's freaking out, and he's not really sure what to do. He manages to find a towel from the bathroom, so he wraps himself up in the towel, and then he goes to the manager's lobby. Luckily, it's very quiet, and there's a little Indian guy that works behind the counter, and he's like, I'm in a little bit of a situation here. He's like, my room, the phone doesn't work, and I need to make a phone call. It's an emergency. And the guy's like, okay, I guess I can let you use the phone. And he's told him that, he also tells the manager that he was roofied, and at least he thinks he was roofied. He woke up, none of his clothes are there. He's missing all his money. He obviously doesn't tell the guy about the dead body in the bathtub. He's like, "Can I please use your phone?" So he picks up the phone. He thinks, in his mind, this is probably Liza. Liza was just really angry. She probably came over, fucking just said enough is enough, took the money and left him there, and maybe killed Violet as kind of like a revenge thing. So he calls her up and she's super pissed. She's like, "Where the fuck have you been? You left me on the road. Guess where I spent my night last night? I was in the fucking hospital because you left me on the road unconscious, and Dwayne had to come pick me up, and you still have my fucking money, asshole." It's like, "You better have my car and my money, and you better be at my house in 30 minutes." And he's just like, "I don't have your money or your car. I thought you took it from me." He's like, "I'm calling you because I woke up naked in a hotel room without the car, the money, or anything. And that girl, Violet, was dead." And she just kind of laughed. She's like, "Good, that bitch deserved it. You thought she was going to be your little princess. She was going to save your day, and she was going to solve all your problems." She's like, "I'm coming for you, Chip, and you better be wary of that. I'm going to get my money, and you're going to come back to me, and that's it." So Chip is digesting all this because he's thinking like, "Well, what the fuck happened?" He's not, and he hangs up the phone. He's like, "Well, she's not the one that took the money. She's not the one that murdered Violet. Because so what the fuck's going on here?" So he goes to the office manager, the hotel lobby guy, and he's like, "Hey, dude, like, did you notice anything suspicious there last night? Like, anything out of the ordinary?" He's like, "Yeah, people were going left and right. There was a big party." He's like, "I mean, the only thing that really stood out," he said, "was there was this one girl. It looked like she was like literally practically on death's doorstep. She was super pale, black hair. She looked like a dead girl." And he's like, "A dead girl?" He's like, "You mean like kind of like a goth girl?" And he's like, "Yes, I guess it's goth girl. This must be it." Because I guess he's not familiar with the terminology. So then he kind of like pings in his brain, "Ah, goth girl. This is probably the girl from the gas station." So he manages to find some clothing from the lost and found. Um, the guy helps him. There's not a lot of options. He ends up wearing a girl's tank top, a pair of sweat shorts, and a pair of flip flops with flowers on them. So he's looking out of sorts, guys, and he's not sure exactly what he's supposed to do next, but he's pretty certain the next thing to do is probably try to see if he can track down this goth girl. Obviously, he's upset about Violet being killed, and he's upset about losing the money. Um, he apologizes to the clerk. He's like, "Listen, I don't want you to be angry with me, but there's something I have to do now." And the clerk looks at him like, What do you have to do?" And he basically, just knocks the guy out and takes his car keys and his car. Um, so we cut to next, and we see Chip, and he's at the gas station, and it's the daytime, and it's a little bit different now. Got a different girl working behind the counter, and he's talking to the girl, and he's like, "Hey, do you know where that dark-haired girl that worked last night lives at?" And she's kind of looking at him. She's like, "You're kind of cute. You want to go in the back and fool around?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Dude," he's like, "Listen, this girl, she knocked me out, and she took all my money, and she just really wronged me." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly where she lives." She's like, "But information doesn't come free." And he's like, "I told you I don't have any money." And she's like, "Oh, you don't have to give me money, honey. Let's just go in the back, and you can eat me out." So Chip just looks at her, and he's desperate. So he goes in the back, and he proceeds to go to town on this heavy-set blonde girl who looks like she's also a little bit of a redneck, guys. She's a little bit trashy, to say the least. But she does come through with the information, and after he's finished, she gives him directions to where he's got to go. So Chip ends up at this another rundown trailer. Trailer seems to be a theme in this saga here. A lot of trailers in this movie, guys. And he comes out of the car and he's got this golf club, and he's kind of ready to kind of get his revenge, so to speak. But as he's about to try to stealthily enter this trailer, little redneck guy comes out, skinny guy with a mullet, a bad mustache, wife beater T-shirt, and he's got a gun, and Chip instantly recognized that gun as the one he had last night. And the boy's like, I thought you were gonna sneak up on us, did you? And that ain't happening. Meanwhile, guess who shows up at that moment on a bicycle? But the heavyset blonde from the gas station, and she just laughs at him. Hold on one second here. Bear with me here. So he grabs him, brings him inside. We see another two people sitting on the couch. We see another girl that looks like she's all methed up, a little meth addict, a little blonde girl, probably also in her 20s. And then we see this heavyset bald guy, also in his 20s. He's not wearing a shirt. They're living in squalor, and they're all just laughing at him. Now, from there, in the trailer, out walks to this bedroom. We see the goth girl, Monica. And she's got this guy that's probably in his late 50s with him, and she's topless. And Chip's, of course, staring at her because, Chip's obviously led by his penis, unfortunately. He's one of those type of guys. And she's like, you take a look at those titties, boy. Those are the last set of titties you're ever going to see. She's like, you done messed up. I don't know what you're doing coming back here. You would have been best off if you should have just stayed where you were at. But, now that you're here, we're going to have some fun. And he's like, why did you kill that girl? And she's like, well, I didn't like what that girl had to say. First of all, I'm not some little goth girl that shops at Hot Topic. I didn't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate any of the other comments. And she's like, you know what? We thought what was going to happen was you were going to wake up and the cops were going to find that body and they were going to blame it on you. And she's like, that was the original game plan. But you got ahead and messed things up by coming here. And he said, well, there is a little bit of a flaw in your plan to nail me for supposedly killing that girl that you killed at the hotel. He's like, don't you think once the cops came here and they realized that I don't have any clothes in the hotel that they would have questioned that? And they would have thought like, hey, maybe this doesn't seem 100% here. Why would he be in a room with a dead girl and absolutely no clothes and no money or anything? And she goes, well, we were all messed up and high as a kite. We weren't thinking too much. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It's like, don't worry about that. That's over. That's no longer part of the plan. Now the plan is you're here, so now we got to kill you. And what we're going to do is we're going to spend some of that money you got, and we're going to take turns just torturing and beating the shit out of you. So guys, that's kind of a lot of what happens in the next couple scenes. They tie him up, they take turns beating the shit out of him, and they basically, get high and drunk and party on. We cut to the next day, and we see Chip, and he's outside, and it's beautiful out, and he's dressed nice, and we see Violet, and he's apologizing to Violet. He's like, I'm so sorry for what happened. I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's okay. It wasn't your fault. But now you have to wake up. You need to wake up. And you need to get out of there. Otherwise, you're never going to live. So, as she's mouthing those words to him, he wakes up. And lo and behold, who's staring at him in the face but Liza. Liza's looking at him and she's like, what are you looking at me like that for? She's like, where are these people and where's my money? He's like, I guess they're in the back of the trailer, and he's in shock to see her. He's like, how did you find me? She's like, don't worry about that. I told you I'd find you, and I found you. now to get my money back. So as she's saying that, Monica walks from the back bedroom with, her little posse, and she pulls out a little handgun, but uh, Liza, it's like, a bitch, I can take you any day of the week, handgun or not. She's like, you think that I'm gonna come in here by myself? And in comes Big Dwayne, 6'8", with a big shotgun, and he starts blowing people apart. And basically, we're left with basically Liza, Monica, the redneck, skinny, fat blonde from the gas station, and Chip and Dwayne. And Liza tells Chip, she's like, listen, Chip, we got to kill these girls anyway. You can take those two girls and go in the back and have your way with them. Just make sure you get the money afterwards. So he literally, like a big caveman, basically grabs the girls, one in each arm, basically, and drags them to the back room. And we're like, God knows what's happening. You can only imagine. Use your imagination there. We can hear screaming, so there, it gives you a slight idea. And while that's going on, we hear, excuse me, we hear Liza talk to Chip. She's like, listen, you really hurt me. She's like, first of all, you took the money, you ran off with that girl. And she's like, I'm glad she got killed. She deserved to get killed. Mrs. Goody Two Shoes. That's some bullshit, And she's like, you know what? She's like, I could kill you right now. And she's like, if it was up to Dwayne, that's what he thought I should do. She's like, you know what? But I love you. But just because I love you doesn't mean I can take any shit. And she starts to go into this big analogy about a dog. And she's like, when you have a dog and you love a dog, and a dog does something stupid like shits on the rug or he bites somebody or he does something he shouldn't do, she's like, you can do one of two things. You can put that dog down and just end it, or you can punish that dog and teach that dog a lesson. You can train that dog. And she's like, that's what I need to do. This is where I failed. I didn't train you properly. She's like, I need to train you. I need you to understand, to be loyal. It's like, you're my dog. And Chip stands up for him for the first time. He's like, I'm not your dog, Lisa, and you're not my owner. I'm a human being, and you're disrespectful when you don't treat me right. And things are going to change. He starts to walk out, and she yells at him, and she's like, where the fuck do you think you're going? You're not going anywhere. And Chip's like, bitch, I've had enough of your shit. She pulls out a shotgun on him. But luckily our man Chip is a little bit quicker. And I guess he managed to grab a handgun and he shoots her right in the fucking head. At that point, Chip goes to walk away, and you think like maybe he's just finally done with everything. He's just like, fuck it. But I guess he has a moment of clarity where he's like, you know what? I've been through hell and back. I might as well go grab the money and finish off Dwayne. So he goes into the back room. And at this point, pretty much, excuse me, guys, Dwayne had already killed the fat blonde chick from the gas station and had his way with her. And he's about to kill Monica. But Chip takes the gun, again, goes to town and takes him off balance and just shoots him right in the head. And Monica's, at this point, thinks Chip's her savior. She's like, oh my God, thank God, that fucking sicko, you saved me. She's like, come on, Chip, I know I did wrong by you, and I'm sorry. But she's like, come on, we'll just take the money and we'll get out of here and we'll live a good life. Like Chip's gonna be like fucking thinking she's Miss Wonderful or something. And he's like, no, that's not the way things are gonna go down. And Chip shoots her in the fucking head, takes the money, and from there, our man Chip wipes down his handprints, fingerprints from everything. He sets the place on fire. He gets on the car and he starts driving down the road. And as he's driving down the road, he sees a girl in a sports car and it's broken down. And of course, she's a hot chick. and he stops for a second and kind of looks at her, and then he just keeps on moving. And that, guys, is how our movie ends. Just bear with me here for a second, guys. I apologize, guys, because again, I seem to have this stupid cold that doesn't want to go away. So my voice is very shot here, and I'm not 100%, but I'm hanging in there. Trying to get better here. I think this is a really great film. I probably didn't do it justice today, guys, but that's okay. Definitely check it out. Like I said, the movie is very, very dark, but it's also very, very funny. And there's lots of great dialogue and lots of fucked up dialogue. And like I said, I'm not properly doing this movie justice today, so I do apologize for that. But it's well worth seeking out. You can find it on Blu-ray, of course, and good old Tubi to the rescue, guys. Which is where I found it. Good old Tubi is a great resource. It's a free app. I know I've talked about it before. You can find tons of great stuff on there, guys. So definitely check out Tubi for that and a lot of other great things. This movie really connected with me just because it's so fucking funny. I mean, like, listen, you gotta be okay with violent movies and you gotta be okay with dark humor, but it really works. And considering they had $520,000, they put together a cast of notable actors. They used a handful of locations, and it's shot really well. And it's one of those movies that it did get some buzz at some of the festivals. And it did get a distribution deal, obviously. But I feel like, oh man, I feel like it had potential to be a much bigger movie, and it deserves to be a much bigger movie. But I do realize the darkness of it may not rub some people the right way. There is some fucked up humor. There's lots of violence, lots of sex. It's a good movie, though, guys. It really is. Trent did a great job with this movie and his first movie, Chop. Like I said, which came out in 2011, which is also fantastic. They're both wonderful movies, and they're both very highly recommended. So I definitely would seek that movie out as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I'm trying to put stuff out at least every other week. In a perfect world, I'd put something out once a week, but I realize that's not going to happen. So at the very least, every other week. So with that all said, guys, next I am going to give you guys a couple recommendations for some stuff that I think are worth seeking out. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some books. First one I'm going to talk to you about is Brian Smith, the guy that wrote this. Definitely check out all of his books. 68 Kill, the book is excellent, just like the movie. Also, there's a sequel that came out in 2017, 68 Kill 2. Not quite as strong, but good. And then any of his books are well worth seeking out. He wrote a book that came out, I think, in like 2015 or so, called Surrounded by Bastards. It's basically almost a similar premise, but this time it's the rich guy that is this rich guy named Dale that's living in excess. And Dale is one of these guys that had life easy his whole life because he came from money. And he gets caught up in a situation where he meets this girl at a bar. The girl takes advantage of him. And the next thing you know, he has all these people after him. And he's caught in this situation where his life becomes turned upside down. And he has to kind of figure this way out. And you're like, like I said, it's a similar scenario except turned around in the sense that like now it's this rich guy that's in all sorts of deep shit. People like the mafia are after him. He's got different criminal organizations after him. He's got everybody and their brother are after this guy, all because he decided to sleep with this this attractive blonde he met at a bar. And it's a really fucked up book. I'm probably not doing it proper justice there, but I'm not going to go into a full-blown review on that. But like I said, they came out, I think, around 2015, 2016, and it's also really, really funny, really, really dark. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to you about a graphic novel that I think, just bear with me, guys. I gotta find it here, that I think you guys will like. Because you're film people like me, most of you, um, you like a lot of horror films, genre films, exploitation films. So I'm gonna talk to you about a graphic novel that came out this year, um, by a guy named Sammy Harkin, and it's called Blood of the Virgin. Um, and this is a really cool book, guys. Gives you a little idea what kind of art style, if you can see that. Just pulling out my notebook here, guys. The little notes I made about that real quick here. So it was published in 2023 by Pantheon Books. And this guy basically wrote this tale. It's set primarily in Los Angeles in 1971. And Blood of the Virgin is the story of a 27-year-old Seymour, an Iranian Jewish immigrant who works for a small exploitation film company. Bear with me for a second, guys. Sorry. Gotta adjust my seating here. So yeah, hold on. Yeah, it's set in 1971. A story of Seymour, an Iranian Jewish immigrant who works as a film editor for an exploitation film company. Sorry, guys. Trying to get comfortable here for a second. I've been sitting in the same position. My leg fell asleep. And we follow Seymour on his journey as an editor as he tries to make it in the business. Also writing screenplays, and he's hoping for a chance to direct. Meanwhile, he's a new husband and a new father, and he's trying to kind of figure everything out. One day, his boss likes a spec script that he wrote. Spec script is a script you write, and it gives people an idea of what, like, hey, this is what I can do, what I'm capable of, essentially. And his boss likes it. It's called Blood of the Virgin. And originally, he just gets paid for the screenplay. The movie goes into production, but the director they hire basically is this big fuck up, and they have to fire him. So they have our man Seymour take over as the director. And basically, the graphic novel follows Seymour throughout his journey and all his problems in his personal life with his wife and his kid, like trying to manage that, but then also now becoming a screenwriter and a first-time director and trying to manage to make a film, a low-budget exploitation film, and trying to keep it on budget and trying to keep everything on point. And it's a really interesting graphic novel. Like I said, it's really well written. It's beautifully drawn, and it has a really compelling main character. And like I said, I know a lot of us are into exploitation films and genre films, and following Seymour on his journey as he's trying to manage to make a film for practically no money and dealing with the different issues that come with that, and trying to have to answer to different bosses and trying to figure everything out. It's a fun journey. It's a really interesting graphic novel. And I think it's definitely well worth your time, guys. So definitely check this out, and let me know your thoughts. It's really, really good. I think you're going to really like it. So those are like my two little minor recommendations, guys. I am going to eventually do like a full-blown episode where I focus on. Sorry for the shaky cam here, guys. I'm gonna do an episode where I focus on like graphic novel, like a whole episode or something like that. But in the meantime, I wanted to give you guys a couple of quick, like little mini reviews, and that's what those basically are. I didn't go into too much detail, just enough to give you some interest of what I've been reading and what I think you guys might like. Now I'm gonna go ahead and give a shout out to all my boys. Number one, Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. These guys are great. Every week they cover a wide variety of different films. This is Will and Sam. Last week, this newest episode that came out on Monday, they talked about the 1940s classic 40 Guns by Sam Fuller. And this is a great Western, guys. Great film, and these guys go and have a nice little discussion about it. So check them out, Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. Next are my guys, Troy and Brad over at Not a Bomb. Not a Bomb is really a great little show because they focus on films that may have been a commercial or critical failure at the box office, and they break down the film and they discuss whether or not the film was actually a bomb or not. I know last week they talked about the science fiction film Prospect, which is a great little 2019 film, I want to say 2019. Um, and this week they're talking about the Japanese black and white noir film Limbo, which is a great movie. I saw that over the weekend, guys, and it's really, really good. So check out the Not a Bomb guys. Um, Next one I'm going to talk about, these guys are new. These guys are a new podcast. They just put out their first episode last week. It's called Caliber 9 from Outer Space. That's the name of the podcast. And these guys do like a little double feature. So like this week they talked about this Italian crime movie called Caliber 9. And then they also talked about the Ed Wood classic Plan 9 from Outer Space. And this is Joe and Rob. And these guys, I was impressed, man. For a first episode, they did a really great job, very informative, very fun. I had seen Plan 9 from Outer Space many, many years ago, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. And I've never seen Caliber 9, but it sounds awesome. So those are some podcasts you guys should be looking out for. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And like I said, I apologize. Like I said, I know I'm a little bit off today, but I did want to get an episode out to you. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope to have something out soon.